offensive manner, I reached out to the aggrieved parties and we buried the hatchet. I ask that as I go to the executive, you also grant me that honor. Sometimes, due to the nature of our politics or firmness required to execute assignments, I may have upset or offended you. I apologize unconditionally to anyone in this house and outside this house who I may have wronged.
Your Excellency, Mr. President, Your Excellency, Mr. Deputy President, ladies and gentlemen, let's now welcome to the stage the man of the hour and moment, the Defense Cabinet Secretary, Aden Duale.
Your Excellency, Dr. William Ruto, the President of the Republic of Kenya and Commander-in-Chief of the Kenya Defense Forces, and my longtime friend, Your Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, the Deputy President, a good man and a honest man. Your Excellency Musalia Mudavadi, our Prime Cabinet Secretary, Your Excellency the Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Moses Wetangula, and a long-serving Minister for Foreign Affairs, Cabinet colleagues, Excellencies and Ambassadors present, governors, the leadership of the Parliament, all members of Parliament present, friends, book lovers, and my good friends from the Fourth Estate. Good evening. Your Excellency, thank you again, and all of you, for honoring this invitation to come and assist me in launching this book. For the record, it has been in the works for about 3 years. It was conceived during one of my lowest moments, the day I was abruptly fired as the leader of Majority Party in the National Assembly in June of 2020. At that time, I was upset at the betrayal, angry at the backstabbing, and I just wanted to breathe, and I had to process it all. Then a few weeks later, a friend sent me a package. It had books, the room where it happened, by the White House memoir by a man called John Bolton, a former U.S. National Security Advisor. I read it closely, and it clarified my thoughts. It confirmed that I had a story to tell. Now that I think back, I was a majority leader for just half of my political life. I owe it to the future leaders to speak about those early years of their life. Your Excellency, when I spoke to another friend about writing books, he went to the bookshop and brought me a book titled The Deep State, The Fall of the Constitution and the Emergency of a Shadow Government by a renowned New York Times writer. I then called my researcher friend, and we sat down for hours, taking and drinking many cups of tea, cups of spiced tea, Your Excellency. You know you have taken that tea in my house, chatting about this book. I think he read the pain, the regret, and the anger in my voice as I retold the major episodes of my life. He gave me an idea that I should call it Not Personal. As he left, he gave me a book entitled For the Record by the former British Prime Minister, David Cameron. And when I told another friend about the book idea, he said, nothing personal doesn't sound good. It sounded vengeful. This marked my made my life and my remarks easier. I called the book For the Record because I worked in a house of records and I wanted to put everything on the record. Anyway, after 3 years in the works, this book is here, ready for launch. Today, Your Excellency, is a special day. I am so happy to be standing here to lift the veil about the country's politics and its leadership. Distinguished colleagues, guests, and book lovers, for those who have not read the book, I will not want to spoil it for you, but perhaps I'll just tell you that it is the story of my life, my earliest memories as a young man in Garissa. You know, before the CBC, the competence-based curriculum, I used to sit with my mom every night. All my siblings did. She did not go to school, but she used to check our homework after it was marked. She knew which questions I had answered incorrectly, and she taught me something which I apply to my family today. Also check that people know what they're doing and that they're doing it correctly. For instance, I don't speak French, but I harass my children when I see a cross or an X on their French homework. Those who have worked with me know that I seek to understand everything. Now you know where it all came from. And yes, my colleagues, and most of my cabinet colleagues sitting here, and my boss, Your Excellency, Mr. President, and your deputy, you too have stories. And if we suffered a few years ago, is anything to go by, you owe Kenyans books. I know that right now you are very busy, but when you get the time, please pen down your memos. Switching gears now, let me tell you that this is a book about politics, about power, about leadership, and about public policy. I write about how I got started in politics. I have worked very closely with all the key leaders in Kenya, the late President Mwai Kibaki, former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, former President Uhuru Kenyatta, and now with the current president, my boss and friend, Dr. William Ruto. I speak about the courage and loyalty in friendship as exemplified by my boss here. We have suffered together. We have thrived together. Mr. President is now leading us to transform this country. We have a lot of work to do, and I hope this book will alter those who are keen to sabotage our agenda or derail our progress, that we are all working for the people of Kenya. If we win, Kenya wins. There's also a chapter about legislative leadership. My colleagues from the parliamentary leadership sitting here, former Speaker J.B. Muchuri, and our current Attorney General, the current Speaker Moses Wetangula, Papa wa Roma, my cabinet colleagues, and former majority leaders in the Senate, Kithure Kindiki, who also became at one time our deputy speaker, and Kipchumba Murkomen, the current CS for transport. They all know how hard it was to set up a bicameral parliament, the tension between the two houses, and how we got to balance. I also tell the story of devolution as a chapter, and the tension between the Council of Governors and everyone else, including the executive and the two houses of parliament. My friend Isaac Ruto, Mr. Speaker, was to be here today. I invited him. He's on his way coming because he's very central in this book. He was part and a parcel of the struggle. He helped us pin together the URP Constitution. Many nights we sat with him at the family Bibilica along State House Road. And of course, the famous ile pesa bado inalete shida hata hapa ukimuuliza Mheshimiwa Rigiji, still the Senate, the National Assembly, and the county governors are still grappling with the same issue of ile pesa. But we are working on it, baking a bigger cake to make sure that we have enough for the counties, and the counties make enough to sustain themselves. It's not easy, but we are on course. Your Excellency, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I am sure many people do not know what we had to go through to pass laws. My opposition colleagues, the Honorable John Bandi, the Honorable Opio Wandai, were to be with me here today, but because of the political inhygiene in our country, they asked me to pass their message, and that they cannot be here, and they have sent their apologies. But they know the secrets, and I have shared those in the book so that future leaders know how to apply the game to win for the people of Kenya. Sometimes we had to push through necessary laws to make sure we kept our country safe, to make our economy friendly for domestic and foreign investment, and to make sure Kenya got the best deal. The record speaks for itself. Whenever there was legislative overreach, the other arms of government, such as the judiciary and the executive, did their job. It's the beauty of our Constitution. As a leader of majority in the National Assembly, you do a lot of work. You are the leader of government business. And at the same time, you're also a parliamentarian with a constituency. You have to know how to work with the cabinet secretaries, with the fellow MPs, and with the public. You automatically become the face of parliament. Do you guys remember when those activists and civil society fellows brought bloody pigs to parliament buildings and labeled the names of leaders, myself, the late Jacoyo Midio, the late Francis Nyenze, and many others? We have seen it all. I've had people attacking some of us who were in the last government for approving the debt ceiling under the Jubilee administration. The borrowing came from good place. We wanted to invest as we baked a bigger cake. But instead, people minted the money, changed the scope of the projects, and began diverting attention when we complained about the wanton corruption in the last 5 years of the previous administration. But seriously, how do you build a railway that ends in a thicket? Move business from Mombasa, a thriving port in the East Africa, to a bush. I know they say, build and they will come. But you don't need to kill the economy in one corner of the country for it to grow in another corner. Our development has to be inclusive, and I think we ought to have done better with the taxpayers' money. Thankfully, President Ruto corrected that policy mistake immediately he took over and took the port business back to Mombasa. There are many more that we are correcting, and we believe we will fix the economy and make it work for everyone. On the debt matter, we decided, because we are in a hole, we will not stop. We will stop digging. And as the president and his deputy have said many times, we have everything to make sure that we cut down on the borrowing, raise more funds, and rebuild our economy for the benefit of everyone. It will be painful in the beginning. As a businessman, as a Kenyan, and as a leader, I can tell you that we need to fix the economy now. We have to find money to pay the debts and grow our economy. And we can no longer borrow from Peter to pay Paul. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the Cabinet Secretary, Honorable Musalia Mudavadi, is here. He appears in one of my important chapters. He knows the story of 2013. He bought a copy of my book a few days ago. I did not tell him the inside story of the Madimoni scandal. He has his version to tell us one day. But for the first time, he gets to hear my side of the story. Maybe Honorable Musalia, when he gets the chance to speak today, he will tell us his side of the story of the Madimoni scandal. Honorable Musalia Mudavadi is a very tough man, a brilliant economist. I tell everyone that Musalia's speech, known as the earthquake, was brilliant. He diagnosed Kenya's economic problem very well. He knew the situation, and now together we are working to remedy that. When Musalia said, "Tusidanganyane," I felt it. He spoke his truth, many truths, and the truth of 50 million Kenyans. I put that on record too, and I hope he'll get the time to also put it on record. And his speech appears in my book. Your Excellency and distinguished ladies and gentlemen, there's a whole chapter on how we told disbelieving Kenyans that the cases at the ICC were political international conspiracy. Winning those cases was a master class in politics and in geopolitics. You just have to read the book to understand what the current president and the former president had to go. What we had to do to tell our friends, and many, many friends internationally and locally, that we knew their schemes and we were never going to deliver, their schemes are not going to deliver justice to the post-election violence victims in our country. But a book like this must have a very candid chapter, Mr. President. I have written a chapter on my ouster in 22 minutes. My ouster took 22 minutes at KICC. I served for 7.5 years, and it all came crashing in less than half an hour. Can you believe it? What could this book be without the inside story of the handshake and the suffering method out to my colleagues and Kenyans in the dying days of the Jubilee administration? You see, sometimes we think it's all politics. However, politics can get too costly. It affects the life of real people. We can be mature about it, play our politics progressively, putting public interest first. I have done it in my constituency for the last 16 years, and my development record gotten me elected 4 times in 4 elections in 4 different political parties. I just hope that putting this on the record, for the record, will help us and give us lessons to politicians. There is more at stake. They need to work for the people who elected them into office. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished book lovers, as I conclude, let me recap that if this book inspires any hustler to pray to God, to work hard, and strive to succeed, then my job is done. I dedicated this book to my mother, a woman of courage, for teaching me all the values, and to the young people of this country, for all the hopes and the hot fires that you lit under our seats. I hope young people, and more so even in my house, and I think all I can speak for them when I say that as a government, we hear you. We will do everything we can under the leadership of our president to make sure you achieve your dreams. I also have a word to all the young leaders in Kenya who are excited about being in public office. Deliver what you promise. You have the next 4 years to do your job. If you don't, I am sorry, your opponent will have you for dinner. It's really a matter of planning. I hope my book helps you, will help you get more political lessons. Finally, I want to thank you all for coming. I don't take it for granted that you braved the traffic to be here for this launch. I'll be signing copies after the event. There are more books being sold out there. Grab one for yourself and more for your friends. You can still get the book from my website, www.adenduale.com, or from Nuria Bookshop, Prestige Bookshop, Yaya Bookstop, Kibanga Books, and many others. Your Excellency, and under my conclusion, let me pay tribute to men and friends who sit here, who played the ultimate role in a very difficult journey. The Honorable Minister for Interior, Professor Kindiki. He appears in my book at one page or one chapter as a brilliant constitutional lawyer who spent with us many days and nights at The Hague. And on another chapters, he appears as a leader of majority who became a victim of the deep state and the systems. And just because we happen to be your friend, when we didn't choose to be a friend, we all found ourselves in the space of politics. The Honorable Kipchumba Murkomen, the Honorable Cecily Mbarire, the Honorable Aaron Choriot, Your Excellency, who you remember, he came to the House through a by-election. And I remember there was a Kericho by-election and a Malindi by-election, when in one of my chapters, I received a 411, where myself and Honorable Kipchumba Murkomen and others were implicated in a certain issues. So that chapter, I don't want to read for you that chapter, and that chapter, Your Excellency, is called "You Have Touched a Live Wire" in my book. Your Excellency, the former Speaker of the National Assembly, J.B. Muturi, has a lot of places in my book. Advice he gave to the former president when our colleagues in the Senate were replaced, and now the knife was coming for those of us. And of all, the day that there was changes in the National Assembly, Your Excellency, the only person I felt for was the Honorable Cecily Mbarire, the governor of Embu now. I said they should have left this lady alone. Go home, we can still survive. Your Excellency, our great Deputy President, a man of serious words. And today somebody told me, the only other politician we expect to write a book like yours is Rigiji. He is a man of the truth. So we expect Honorable Rigathi. Our two brothers, Your Excellency, Honorable Musalia Mudavadi and Honorable Moses Wetangula. The earthquake, the conference that we went to Bomas, and the speech he gave, and the leaders who ran away when they saw you, is well documented, Your Excellency, in this book. Your Excellency, your speech at both Bomas 1 and Bomas 2 is well documented. And when I look at that speech you gave, the first Bomas, Your Excellency, at least we were there, myself and Honorable Kipchumba spoke. But in the second Bomas, because we were no longer part of their club, you are the only one who was there. And we felt for you as we watched from the TV screens that what will they do to this man? But God gave you the courage and the patience, and you took a lot of time. I drew a lot of lessons from your patience. They were heckling you, and you could say, so is it? You think so? You know, it was like, you think so? If you can convince me, I am ready to listen to you, you know, very calmly. You know? They humiliated you. So there's a huge chapter on that, Your Excellency. Your Excellency, my journey with you in ODM in 2005. And for record, the only time in my political journey with the president, and he allowed me a sabbatical leave, agreed, was during the 2010 Constitution. And I told him, Your Excellency, you know that few key areas that are dear to the community and the region I come from. The card is caught. And today, when I look back, I am so proud that even during that referendum, where the former prime minister, the former president, the former vice president, the whole government was on one side and you on the other side, you managed to get behind you over 2.5 million Kenyans who agreed with you. And Your Excellency, as I finish, he went to Mandera to go and preach the no campaign. And the president went to Ramu. And the Ramu constituency was where the chairman of the Parliamentary Select Committee on the Constitution, the Honorable Abdikadir, was coming from. So he went 1 week earlier, and he talked to the elders. In the north, you talk to people under the acacia tree. So in every town, there's one acacia tree that all meetings are held. So we went there. After 2 weeks, we went to Mandera. We went to the same acacia tree. And when the meeting started, I don't want to go into the issues the elders have raised. When the meeting started and the prayers were conducted, an old nomadic elder stood up from the back of the crowd with his bakora and he said, before you start, and you know we are with serious people, the late Honorable Haji, who was the Minister for Defense, the Honorable George Saitoti, Kalonzo Musyoka, and he said, gentlemen, wait a minute, before you start your meeting, William Ruto was here under this acacia tree. He raised 3 fundamental issues. I won't say them. You'll find them in the book. Because I don't want to offend people. And he says, unless you answer those 3 questions, which he said is in his constitution, you will not start your meeting. And you know, we pleaded, please listen to us, listen to us. He now mobilized other few elders. And he said, William Ruto's questions must be answered. And you can imagine, we left that place without answering talking to the people. When in the 2005, finally, there was a referendum of the banana and the orange. And that time, I was a young member of parliament. And the Iron Lady of then, and a powerful minister for constitutional affairs, you'll find in my book, called Mother Karua, and George Saitoti, and Kalonzo Musyoka, and many others went to Garissa. And by then, that region was completely against the constitution, because there was extrajudicial killing, there were many issues. So they were not allowed to address a rally in Garissa. Unfortunately, with all her arrogance, it's in my book, Mother Karua stood and called a press conference, and because she was so powerful, she told the minister, Saitoti, and the local administration that you guys, we can come to Garissa, have a cup of tea, not address the people. You mean you can't even convince and talk to these refugees? A whole region, in her opinion, was inhabited by refugees. Your Excellency, I want to thank you for coming. I have many things to say, but I want to sell my book. I want money. And Your Excellency, your forward alone yesterday in the Standard, by evening, I have sold 400 copies. Today, by you gracing this occasion, I think we have surpassed 600 copies so far. Please buy my book. The proceeds will go to charity in honor of my late mother, because she deserves a lot. And Your Excellency, on the onset, I want to thank the editorial team. You will not find an error in my book. I want to thank and applaud the editorial team that helped me put this book together, the legal team that made sure the people I have described in this book will not go and take me to litigation, and did the copyright, and finally the bookstores who have in the last 10 days helped me sell my book. Your Excellency, finally, I want to thank most sincerely the diplomatic corps. The Dean of the African Ambassadors is here, the EU ambassador is here, the French ambassador is here, the Turkey ambassador is here, the Saudi ambassador is here, representative of the British ambassador is here, the Swiss ambassador is here, and the UAE representative is here, and many, the Moroccan ambassador is here. I really want to thank the diplomatic community. I want to thank my colleagues, members of parliament who are here. David Ochieng is here. He has, I have a lot of stories in my book about David Ochieng. The chairman of the Pastoralist Parliamentary Group is here. Our cabinet colleagues are here. Senior government officials are here. Religious leaders are here. Defense attaches at the back I'm seeing from our foreign governments based in Nairobi. Your Excellency, that's my story. Thank you very much. Please buy my book, help me sell, and I hope the president has committed to me. When I showed him this book, he looked at me and he said, what? And you know where we were? We were 33,000 above sea level. We were heading to Kampala. So I just came to his cabin and I said, Your Excellency, this is the book I wrote. He looked at me and laughed and said, welcome, Honorable Isaac Ruto. Please clap for Isaac Ruto. Thank you, Your Excellency, and I'll now the mic and maybe give about 2-3 minutes to very few of my colleagues who we share this journey together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Defense Cabinet Secretary, the Honorable Aden Duale, Your Excellency, Mr. President, Your Excellency, Deputy President. We'll go to the dignitaries that have been listed who will be speaking between 3 to 5 minutes for the running order to be in order. I now welcome to the podium Isaac Ruto, who has just stepped into the podium, the first Bomet County Governor, the first Council of Governors Chairperson, and a friend in the trenches with the Honorable Aden Duale. Yes, you can use this.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Chief Cabinet Secretary, the Speaker of the National Assembly, my good old, I must apologize, the Deputy President, Your Excellency, Honorable Duale, Waziri, Tika, your Defense, Cabinet Secretary is present, members of the Diplomatic Corps, and all the distinguished guests. Your Excellency, I must apologize for coming late. If I had seen Honorable Kipchumba Murkomen, I would have asked him to apologize on my behalf because I was held up at the escarpment for more than 2 hours. And I think it's all your fault. It can't be mine. There is no way it can be my fault. Anyway, Your Excellency, I must apologize for coming late, but just in time to speak. We kept in touch with Honorable Duale. Now, this is a great day for us. Honorable Duale has been a good old friend. A lot of people do not know how close we are with Honorable Duale because of sometimes we do some bit of public spots together, but all we enjoy the game. We've worked with Honorable Duale for a long time, especially during the 10th Parliament. And I'm sure one of the reasons why he was sacked as an assistant minister may have been something to do with his close associated with some of us. And he lost his job. I know presidents normally don't say why they have sacked. I don't know whether President Ruto will be different, but they normally, they normally don't tell us when you are being fired. It just happens that in the afternoon you are no longer in the office. Honorable Duale was one such victim, but we worked together. We pushed especially the agenda of the new constitution together in Parliament. We also stood for those that appeared to us to be unfairly treated. And Honorable Duale speaks his mind. And I think that is one of the things we share. He speaks his mind, even if you are not in agreement with it, he will tell it to you to your face. And I think we are grateful for the rise that has happened. And I have not had the occasion to read the book, but I'm sure it must have said all that which is true, because he just notified me yesterday and I was in the villages. And I told him I'll definitely make it to come here. But Honorable Duale, I hope you'll continue being forthright, and I'm sure you have told us the whole truth in the book. It's good to be forthright. It's good to say that which you believe is right. And therefore, Honorable Duale, thank you very much. I'm sure this book, ni ya mama yako, na yangu, na wewe, tuendelee namna hiyo. Asante sana, and God bless you.
Thank you, Honorable Isaac Ruto. Asante sana. We move on, and up next is the East African Legislative Member of Parliament, the Honorable Kanini Kega. All right, we then move to the United Democratic Alliance, UDA Party Secretary General, the vibrant politician, Cleophas Malala. On to Honorable Dido Raso, who will speak on behalf of the Pastoralists Parliamentary Group. He is here, obviously present. Thank you.
Your Excellency, the President, Your Excellency, the Deputy President, the Honorable Aden Duale, my colleagues from the Senate, the National Assembly, the Speaker of the National Assembly, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I stand here as a member of the Pastoralist Parliamentary Group and also as their patron. I am a third member of Parliament representing the constituency of Saku in northern Kenya, Marsabit. I'm privileged to be here and to speak on behalf of my colleagues. Honorable Duale, we found him in Parliament. He was not just a brother, a colleague, but he was like a father figure for those of us from the North. We learned many from him, and at the same time, he allowed us to hold firm positions, to be loyal and truthful, and to be also respectful to the cause we take. Having read his book, I begin to understand why somebody like His Excellency the President actually became the President of Kenya, for the firm position he took and the loyalty that he portrayed throughout his political career. For many of us who are in Parliament, I think we must begin to read that book to take away a substantive portion of it, that you don't have to play the game of others. You must play your game. And finally, there's one thing that we learned from Aden Duale. And you know, sometimes 2-3 years ago, there was something called the WikiLeaks, where as somebody came to, I believe, the US Embassy, they were able to pick some things. And then somebody else relayed, and this thing was serialized internationally. And sitting with a smart person like Aden Duale, one must be very careful that you don't drop the pen, because he will note it very quickly that this is something. And throughout, he carries around a book. For him having been the leader of majority, I think sometimes he made the ultimate price for his politics, and sometimes even we feared that this person will be put down because he is sticking his neck out too much. So thank you, Aden Duale, for sharing your story with us. We will buy the book, and we will also buy the books for some of our schools, so that the young and upcoming leaders of this country will find a place to say that, yes, this is where I started. With those remarks, I thank you very much.
Your Excellency, Mr. President, Your Excellency, Mr. Deputy President, having mentioned library, I was informed by the U.S. Embassy representative here that they have gotten 16 copies. One for the Library of Congress in the United States of America, and the other copies will be distributed across the United States of America, across the major academic libraries across the states. We thank you, the representative of the embassy. Up next is the Senate Majority Leader and Kericho County Senator, Aaron Cheriot.
Your Excellency, the President, Deputy President, Prime Cabinet Secretary, the Chief Celebrant of the Day, the Honorable Aden Duale, and all dignitaries that are here, I greet you all good evening. I'll say three quick things. Number one is that when you're speaking, CS Duale, three things came to my mind. Number one is that you have achieved so much because you went to a great university. I know the university that you went to, tucked somewhere in the green, beautiful, lush highlands of the Rift Valley. When you were in class, you didn't have the distraction of matatus running next to your classroom, or a discotheque distracting your activities as a student, like some of your neighbors next close to you. I'll not say who. Secondly, Aden, the thing that I celebrate the most about you is that you are a man of immense faith. You know, when you talked about standing by your friends, I remembered a picture that is in the book. If you go through the pictures that are in this book, you will see among the many photos that are in the collage section of the book, you will see a momentous day in the political life of our president, the day that we launched URP at the Bombers of Kenya. And there's a famous photo where he's holding the horn, the sign of our party. If you look at that high table, it has about 6 men. Out of all those 6 men, the only one who supported your presidential bid is Aden Duale. The rest failed by the wayside, and they chose different paths. That speaks to you, that you're a man of great and immense faith. You stand with your friends. Of course, third is that as a senator, I'm seated there between the people that preceded me in the office of a majority leader of the Senate. And when you're speaking between us, we were consulting quickly. When you're speaking about the challenges of devolution, and we said there must be something that you forgot to list as part of, on the chapter of devolution, that on the side of the senators, we hold the view that you are one of the challenges to devolution. I don't think you believe that, but it's a common joke in the Senate. But I know it's for good reason. Now that I serve in this office, I appreciate and know the kind of things that you do. But lastly, because we've been told that 2 to 3 minutes we should be done and out of here, is that I want to challenge my colleagues that are here. It's not every day that you do something that will live 100 years after. There are big politicians in this room and big people, men of means, people who've achieved. But I want to tell you, until when you do what Aden Duale has done, you're yet to do something that will outlive you. Record what you have achieved, the things that you are doing, so that 100 years from now, when none of us is still in this room, there'll be a testimonial to the things that you did. So thank you, Aden Duale, for challenging us. I hope all these leaders that are gathered here, together with everybody else, will find time to read. Of course, the last thing that I will say is that there are many people who ask themselves, where do you get the time to read? But I know that you have a lot of time on your hands. You read a lot of books every day. It's only unfortunate that those books are in the form of WhatsApp messages, TikTok videos, and all the time that you spend on your phone. At least take time to split between that time and reading a book so that you add on to your wisdom and the things that you need to know. Thank you very much, CS Aden. Thank you for giving us this great gift. God bless you, and God bless you all. Thank you.
Mr. President, Mr. Deputy President, I now welcome Governor Cecily Mbarire, Embu County.
Thank you, Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Your Excellency, the Deputy President, Cabinet Secretaries, the Chief Guest, my friend, Aden Duale, all protocols observed, good evening. I'm extremely excited to be here this evening to witness a major step by a friend of mine, Honorable Aden Duale, who I have known closely since 2007. And we met in Parliament as he was elected an ODM ticket. Then I was on on PNU, and we became friends. He was an assistant minister. I was also an assistant minister, although he was sacked. And the one thing I can tell you about Aden Duale is that he tells you what's in his heart. Upende, usipende, he'll just tell you as is. And if you want to look for somebody who tells what you will not be able to tell, give it to Aden Duale. He will say it. And I'm very sure, I've not read the book, that in this book he has said it all from his heart and from the experiences that he has had as a politician. The other thing about Aden Duale is that he's a very loyal friend. And it's no wonder he has stuck with the president all these years, even when he was going through some very difficult moments. He's very loyal. And he served the Jubilee Party as a majority leader in a very loyal way. He could do anything as long as it was for government. And so when I was appointed the Deputy Chief Whip, he called us to his office, myself, Washiali, who was the Chief Whip, and he sat us down. And the Deputy Majority Leader, he told us, you've now joined the leadership of the party in the House. The first thing I want to tell you is that the government is always right. So whatever agenda that comes on the floor of this House is our agenda. We make sure we deliver, we ask questions later. And because I'm one who likes to ask questions, it was a very difficult thing for me to learn. But I learned it with time. Number two, he taught me how to be tough on members of parliament. The most difficult group to deal with, and I'm sure Osoro will assert that today, is members of parliament. Because you're leading leaders. And they actually think there's nothing special about you that you're coming here kutuambia story mingi. So they'll ask you questions. They'll challenge you. But he taught me to deal with them without fear. And to tell them even what they don't want to hear. Including, wewe uache mchezo, hii ni serikali. And we did that, and we passed every single agenda of the House, of the government of Jubilee. We made sure it passed, through thick and thin, including the infamous security laws. And he's a team player. He worked very closely with the Speaker, with us, and he would call us to agree on certain things before they come to the floor of the House. And he was loved and hated in equal measure. Sometimes the MPs loved him so much. Sometimes they didn't like him at all. But that didn't stop him. He continued pushing the agenda. And that's why for me, Duale, I want to say this, that even as you fought that I should not be sacked, and I know you really fought hard for me, and I know the one man who fought so hard for us was Speaker Muturi then, until they started putting question marks on him. Is he really one of us, or is on the other side? I did not think for one moment that you deserved the sack. I believed your loyalty to Jubilee government, to the president then, was beyond measure. You had undivided loyalty to the president then. And any time you spoke, you always reminded me that we must support the agenda of government. And I remember when things started going as they were going between the president and the deputy. We'd sit down with you and we'd really discuss these things and we'd say, let's see how we can get these people waskizane. But it was difficult. So the one thing I remember, and I'm looking forward to reading that chapter, was the day you were sacked. When I was sacked, it was in a PG in State House. And the first phone call I got when I left the gate of State House was from you. Come, you told me, you know, sis, I'm so sorry. You didn't deserve this. I'm really sorry. And then I remember telling you, I really doubt they will touch you because you've done a very good job for this government. Of course, the second phone call was from His Excellency, the President. And I was actually just getting to my house. I wanted to go home and just cry out the pain and the anger and frustration. And he called me and told me, please come over to my office. And when I went, I remember you looked at me and started laughing. And then it hit me, it's not this serious. There's life after this. So we survived because of that encouragement. But fast forward, KICC, special PG is called. At one point, we were told the president is coming. The next point, we were told, no, to be on Zoom. And we are sitting there. And I sat at the end because we were already very tired of the government. And we were right at the corner. And I remember Duale was seated, of course, being the majority leader, he's seated in front there. Then I watched as, you know, MPs prosecuted the agenda. And I listened to the president say, you know, sometimes friendships and leadership are different. And I'm like, what? Then the next thing, proposal. One lady stood up and said, we want to remove the majority leader, and another one who had no idea where she came from, supported. And Honorable Duale was gone in a second. And I think I felt more pain that day than I did when I was actually sent packing. Why? Because I didn't understand how somebody who has delivered so much for a government can be victimized for no apparent reason. So as we walked out, I remember walking to where the leader was, and I told him, I'm sorry, you didn't deserve this, but guess what? We'll live to fight another day. And our time is coming. And I didn't know you went through so much pain alone after that, but you never showed it. You went to the backbench and continued working like a normal member of parliament. So I want to really appreciate what you've been to us. I want to appreciate that you mentored me as a deputy whip. You taught me the ropes of parliament. You gave me strength to push even very unpopular agenda. You told me that it is possible as a leader at certain levels, you do even the most unpopular things because that's the agenda of government. So I appreciate you, my brother Duale, and I wish you well. Obviously, Your Excellency, you're getting Duale out of the political scene has changed quite a bit, because it's not normal to have Duale not speak for a whole month. And the only time he speaks is in some event of the ministry. So I keep feeling you are misplaced. And I'm not saying you should come back, but I keep feeling we've lost a very big voice in the political platform. And I'm very sure sometimes you look at us and wondering why we are not speaking like you used to. So we will try and do and fill that gap that you've left out. So otherwise, thank you so much, Duale. Thank you for mentioning me in your big book. At least my name is somewhere. I thank you. And we wish you well in what you do. And for the future too, thank you so much. And thanks for standing by your friend. I know he means a lot to you. Thanks for being a loyal friend. That's what we are looking for. And Your Excellency, let me say that I know you stood by us when we were going through our challenges. I pray you continue to do that with your current leadership in the executive and in the assembly, and that we'll never have to see leaders go through the humiliation we went through. I really hope it will never happen, but I believe, and I know you are not that kind of person, that leaders will be treated right and treated like human beings. Thank you very much. May God bless you. Best wishes, my friend Duale. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency Governor, Your Excellency Mr. President, Your Excellency Deputy President. I now see Cleophas Malala is here. I'll invite you. You'll be taken to the podium for your 3 to 5 minutes. I now get onto the stage the Majority Whip to be very brief in the National Assembly. Then the Cabinet members will be speaking. I thank you.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Your Excellency, the Deputy President, Prime Cabinet Secretary, Right Honorable Moses Wetangula, the Speaker, and all protocols observed. Your Excellency, I came to Parliament 10 years after Honorable Duale had joined Parliament. And it was quite admiring to share a plenary with Honorable Duale, because we had, we were used to seeing him on TV, on debates, and in political scenes, in political rallies. But there are two things that Honorable Duale used to tell us as new and young members of Parliament. Number one, he told us that never forget your family. I remember him telling me that do not leave your wife for whatever reason. And today when I see you seated next to your wife, I see truly you live by your words. Number two thing that Honorable Duale used to tell us, Your Excellency, is that government does not lose. At times, things could be very challenging in the flow of the House. But he would say that you cannot lose. And he was very sharp to the extent that when situations were challenging in the flow of the House, he would be smart enough to withdraw when he does not have numbers. in the floor of the House. You know, fast forward, Your Excellency, I have learned that the things you would say are the things that I need to apply now. That as a leader in the National Assembly, I have an obligation to make sure that the government does not lose, even when it's unpopular, that it will not lose. And by the way, it's important for me to state that even as at now, as the cabinet secretary in the executive, he still finds time to call some of us and remind us that, remember, you're a leader in the National Assembly and government does not lose. Please do not lose. Although, Your Excellency, there are times that I questioned myself on really what friendship is in terms of politics. When Honorable Duale was ousted from office, at the very week he had pushed government agenda with zeal, that very week he was actually ejected from office unceremoniously. But of importance is the way he behaved even after that. He took his back seat, was still contributing in the floor of the House, you know, but he stood his ground. That shows that when you believe in something, then stick by it. And that is what we've learned from you. But in copying the words that Honorable Duale said, Your Excellency, I believe you also owe us a book. And I think it's important for me to say this. We need to know what happened in 2002, that you only left 3 of you lost in 2002. And I think I need to know that. Then years later, like Honorable Duale has said, at Bomas, of course, there were issues. But what happened at the holding room before you came out? Because what you saw is at the plenary. But there was a holding room. You, Right Honorable Raila Odinga, and His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta. What were you guys discussing about that made Uhuru laugh all through when Right Honorable Raila was making his speech? Those are the things that we need to learn all through. But in conclusion, Your Excellency, with the fact that government does not lose, I also want to assure you that even the finance bill will pass. Government does not lose. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Silvanus Osoro. And now to Environment CS, Soipan Tuya. Karibu Waziri.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Excellency Deputy President, the Prime Cabinet Secretary, Honorable Speaker of the National Assembly, Cabinet colleagues, members of the diplomatic community, members of Parliament, and everybody here. Clearly, I did not know I was going to speak. I think it was by design. But first is to congratulate my brother, Honorable Duale. I'm a mentee of Honorable Duale. Only that I'm not as loud as he is. But he has taught me a few political tricks during our 10 years period together in Parliament. And he actually came to my rescue during the infamous The Ayes Have It. He stood by me when the speaker was somewhere behind the speaker's seat, and all my colleagues in the speaker's panel had deliberately absented themselves from the country. And I was called from maternity leave to deal with a very tough task. And from interactions with Duale, we had a small chit-chat before I went to the seat. And the rest is history. The other day I saw it replayed, and that's one of the tough things that we had to, through thick and thin, make sure that government business was passed in the House, and not to say that we did anything wrong with the verdict of the Ayes Have It. It's a story for another day, and I'm sure probably for another book. And I'm hoping, because I've not yet read the book, that Duale might have done an account of the true story behind the eyes have it. With those few remarks, Your Excellency, I will buy the book and also I have a few libraries, about 5 of them, that I'll also buy. So I'll buy 6 books and put some in the 5 libraries. And I know many young Kenyans are going to benefit from your leadership. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Waziri. Up next is his cabinet colleague, Kipchumba Murkomen, the Cabinet Secretary for Transport. Karibu, Waziri.
Your Excellency the President, Your Excellency the Deputy President, Prime Cabinet Secretary, Honorable Speaker, my colleague and the Chief Guest, Honorable Aden Duale, and all distinguished guests, good evening. I am actually the least qualified to speak about Honorable Duale, and I consider myself extremely privileged that he has reminisced our interactions in a number of chapters of his book, from Kenya to The Hague and back. And since Honorable Duale is my big brother, I want to start by saying thank you very much for putting me in a book. At least if I don't write anything, someone will read me somewhere in your book, and they will ask themselves, who was this Murkomen? Number 2 is to really say that I came to know Honorable Duale because I was recruited to the School of Politics of William Ruto. I was actually picked like the way Jesus picked his disciples. And those of us who have worked with President Ruto, you know he is deliberate in recruiting people to work with him. He actually recruits. So I was this political analyst, and one day he had looked for me, and I had heard a word that he had said derogatory things about me to my member of parliament. So he told my member of parliament, where were you when this one was going, talking all these things he's talking on TV? I hear Lina told him back and said, but he was in ODM with you. I wasn't hearing you. So one day he calls me. Okay, coincidentally, we met at the airport. And so we land in Nairobi, and he spends 2 hours speaking to me about leadership and politics. And so he recruited me to his School of Leadership, and since then I've never left. That is where I met Aden Duale. I was a young boy, the briefcase carrier. Although I was a university lecturer at a young age, I was the one who used to take the notes behind the scenes. At some point, I was a Mutu Mkono of Isaac Ruto, trying to reclaim UDM, which was being taken away from us. And soon thereafter, I became the Mutu Mkono of the entire team to work on the URP agreement. And in the process, Duale was always there. One thing about Duale, one thing if you don't know about President William Ruto, he knows how to arrange his team like a coach would arrange, like Pep Guardiola would do it, even though I don't like Man City, but he knows how to arrange his team. And so everybody had a strategic job to do in this URP. Even, I dare say, Honorable Chirao Hali Makwere had his role. Do you remember, Mr. President, I asked you, why would you go around with Chirao Hali Makwere? What votes will he bring? You told me, no, this is my Biden. because Obama was the president and he was younger, and there was a Biden old man called Chirao, who was the vice president. So I said, okay, it's fine. So in the rallies I used to observe, Duale would speak at the most critical moment of the rally. And amidst the noise and the loud voice of Duale, there are very few public speakers who speak often consistently and deliver a message from the beginning of the speech to the end. If you doubt, go to the speeches of Honorable Duale. Honorable Duale will speak in a way that when the president now comes to speak in the culmination of the rally, everything had been brought together. It is now number 9 who is going to score the goal. And the president, you know, will just be clapping when Duale is speaking because he knows how to package. It is through this school of William Ruto, where Duale was a top student up there, and we were trainees, when I learned that even rallies and speeches and messages planned. And so we would sit, Duale would come around and say, what's the message today? Then we'll sit around and work on the message, and then we put together. Then Duale will be the last person to deliver. So one thing about Duale is that he is a team player, he is an eloquent speaker. Number two, Honorable Duale is loyal. Loyal to his friends, and sometimes loyal to a fault. I actually believed that after we were axed from the leadership positions, I actually thought you would choose to go with President Uhuru Kenyatta. We had actually literally given up. In fact, I admire your tact because, maybe I should not say too much, but let me say this. For a long time, Duale would not call directly. He was still calling on WhatsApp. Those of us who had surrendered, we knew our days were numbered, had already been calling each other directly because even plotting openly what we are going to do to Uhuru Kenyatta. But Duale would come at night and come and sit with the president. So Uhuru Kenyatta was not wrong to sack you because he knew there was no doubt that anything was going to be plotted against the President William Ruto and you are going to sit in that room. So you must give him credit also that it's because of your loyalty that he had to get you out. But even in the hardest moment, there is no day Aden Duale betrayed President Uhuru Kenyatta. Not a single day. Not a single agenda of government that he sabotaged because he believed that the president was not supporting his deputy. He remained consistent, and that is the kind of leader you need when you are in leadership. The last thing I'll say about Honorable Duale is he was also wrong in many ways. I don't think I agreed with Duale in many things. And we disagreed publicly. Yeah, we disagreed publicly. Duale would get so worked up, and we would go and tell the president, you know, hii mtu yako ni msumbufu. Hii mtu boss, weka hii mtu kando saa ingine. Particularly, we disagreed completely about the bicameral legislature. I was a mtu wa mkono of first majority leader of Senate, Professor Kindiki. And I think there are many things that you hurt us, Duale. Because sometimes you are like an elephant. When you pass through a place and you believe in something, you will clear the path completely. And many of your friends will agree with me that if you believe in something, everything else will have to give way for it. And even where we wanted to compromise a lot, to negotiate and compromise bicameral legislature, we never, you are no time for compromise. That's where we lost you. And as my friend, I'll tell you the truth, as a honest man. But because memoirs is about history and times of all of us living, I did not come here to praise you. I just came to thank you for doing a good job. In the cabinet, I think time has come. When you dance in a stage, I think there comes a time you must exit so that others can play in that stage. Kindiki exited the stage, I became majority leader. I exited the stage. I think the current majority leader is doing even a better job than us. One thing I've learned, and I think that is something we must all learn from Dr. William Ruto, because we are all students of his school, including what he has forwarded here, is that as a leader, you must not be petty. You must be ready to facilitate others to even be greater than yourself. And you must be patient in mentoring people. If President William Ruto was someone else, he would not continue to have Duale as his friend, because so many people came to him to tell him, you must leave Duale. So it was not just loyalty of Duale to President Ruto, but President Ruto was also loyal to his friends to a fault. And that's why he stood by Duale and the way he has stood by him. I don't want to say much because I would look like I will be soliciting you to be kept in cabinet forever. Let me just say that I admire what you've done. You've challenged us. I am not ready to write a book now. Some of us are not as courageous as yourself. There are some things if you say now, some of us don't want to commit yet. And there are some things you said in that prologue. Honorable Duale, in men's conference this year, you will be disciplined. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Waziri. And I bet that is the moment which also partly contributed to a speedy sale of the book when we have seen the pages which are circulated on social media platforms. Thank you. I now welcome Your Excellency, Mr. President, Your Excellency, Mr. Deputy President, to this stage, the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration, Professor Kithure Kindiki. A round of applause for him, ladies and gentlemen.
Mr. President, Mr. Deputy President, and all the important guests present here, my friend, my brother, Aden Duale, and your wife. Your Excellency, the President, allow me to also say I'm delighted to be here. Number two, to say that I'm privileged to have been a friend of Aden Duale for many years. Even before I joined Parliament, we knew each other with Aden Duale because of the ICC. In the years preceding the 2013 election. And we spent very many days and nights agonizing when we were in trouble and celebrating whenever we had breakthroughs. We don't have time to recall so many things that we can say. But Aden Duale, you've done us proud. Unlike my brother Kipchumba, my book is also on the way. And that is the way to go. President Ruto has taught us, those of us who have learned leadership under his feet, he's taught us loyalty. And tonight, there is no greater testament of what loyalty does than to see my brother Aden Duale launching his book here as the Cabinet Secretary for the Defense of Kenya. It's amazing. My brother, I think you have still some reward, even greater rewards in the days ahead for loyalty. The only caveat is that unlike betrayal, loyalty is paid in installments. Betrayal is the one that is punished instantaneously. But loyalty is paid in bits and pieces over time. You have shown us and you have proved to us that the world has no place for betrayers. And I have no doubt in my mind that the painful moments we went together were to prepare us to happier and greater moments. Lastly, Aden Duale is many things, very many things. But the one thing I've learned about him is that Aden Duale is a very conscientious and religious person. He's a man of faith. I have learned the lesson for those of us in politics and public life. As much as we do what we must do in the public space, we must take care of our private, spiritual, and family lives. And I have very many examples because I have interacted with Aden Duale at very close and personal levels. And I have learned that that separation is very important. And lastly, many people believe politicians love money. Aden Duale and his experience has proved that not all politicians love money. Because if it were about money, at the time when it really mattered, at the time when the issue is the issue before us, when I say us, is many of us in this room, the issue was, it's either you betray William Ruto and get all the money in the world, or you stick with him and pay the price. Aden Duale chose to stick with his friend, the president. For the younger politicians, please, friendship, loyalty, truth is superior to power, money, and betrayal. God bless you, and God bless you, my brother. Congratulations, Aden Duale.
Thank you, Professor Kithure Kindiki, Chief Cabinet Secretary, Interior and National Administration. Allow me now, Your Excellency, Mr. President, to welcome back the Defense Cabinet Secretary to the stage with the rest of the running order. Thank you, Waziri.
Your Excellency, what we agreed with Isaac Ruto, he didn't say it. Last night, when he was in Bomet, I told him, please don't revisit when we were in Narok University on this maneno of E-Pesa. But he assured me, he'll say that sasa, hii serikali ni ya mama yetu, which he did not say. Your Excellency, let me, just 1 minute before I invite the Honorable Attorney General, let me just thank Honorable Sankok, our former nominated MP. This man stood with me when we were sacked. We formed a caucus of Cecily Mbarire, Alice Wahome, Kimani Ichung'wah, who is in the US, and many others. And every day he was diligent. And at times he could cause chaos by defending our cause. Your Excellency, in this gathering, there are members of my family, extended family, my brothers, my sisters, and I want to recognize them. Let me now call a man who I served with for 7.5 years as my leader, as the Speaker of the National Assembly. He has some chapters, and I allow him, after he finishes, he invites the Speaker of the National Assembly, and the Speaker invites Honorable Musalia Mudavadi, and Honorable Musalia invites the Deputy President to invite you, sir.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Ruto, Your Excellency, the Deputy President, Prime Cabinet Secretary, Cabinet colleagues here present, governors, my classmate, sorry I forgot, to my classmates, the 8th, the Honorable Papa Waroma, members of Parliament present, the members of the diplomatic corps, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to come and say a few words about for the record, because some of the things that the Honorable Duale has said, that the government does not lose. I have the record. But Your Excellency, I did not know the Honorable Duale very well before the 11th Parliament. But I used to see and admire some things that he used to say. And they formed some small, I think that's almost the renegade group in the 10th Parliament with my friend Isaac Ruto. But Your Excellency, you recall the meeting we had at the Great Rift before the 11th Parliament was inaugurated. And on the 31st of March 2013, members came to the House, and I was watching as you had told me, you hid me somewhere, and I was just watching. This guy, I don't know him very well, but he's busy mobilizing people to vote for me. It was no wonder that I got such a resounding victory. Fast forward, Your Excellency. This gentleman, the Honorable Duale, is a very unique character. I don't know how many times Duale would visit my office. And I kept wondering, why is he coming? But it's because of some of the things in this book, because they are in the record. So even as Soipan would go and have some little trouble there, I knew that she was still very safe because she was in the safe hands of the Honorable Duale, as I was just hiding behind there. It's part of the record. The Honorable Duale is an extremely consultative person. You'd go receive whatever documentation from various cabinet secretaries, and you'd come, we sit. I tell him, but at the end of the day, even if we discuss these things, it is your business, it's your responsibility to push through. I said, but I needed you to know. I needed you to know this so that when you see me playing this way, you will know where I'm headed. So a lot of it, some people used to say that there was conspiracy. Where's my friend Onesimus Kipchumba Murkomen and the Honorable Kindiki? Even as you complained that, and the Honorable Wetangula, even as you complained that the Honorable Duale was the enemy of devolution, I'm aware that you used to say those are two very bad people. You see, there was a very bad combination in the National Assembly of the Speaker and the Leader of Majority. And because the Honorable Wetangula is an old friend, a classmate, sometimes you'd come to my office and then you'd meet the Honorable Duale walking out. I say, what have you been planning? I hope it has not found some space in the book. I haven't read the book, but I can assure you, I promise, I must read. And because mine is not too far away, it's not too far away, I have actually, from the day I saw this, I felt extremely challenged. I said, what am I doing? And then I started thinking, looking backwards, I wanted to blame His Excellency the President because he put me somewhere where I'm reading other things now. It becomes very difficult to read consistently the other things which I'm supposed to. But I can assure you, Your Excellency, I'm going to finish. I'm still going to finish. But I must congratulate my brother, the Honorable Aden Duale, who I find very difficult even today to, even if he calls me, the first thing is, leader, where are you? Because I got so used for 10 years. And he mentioned it. Honorable Maridas alluded to it. When I got to know about the evil machinations, and I knew there's something, I started fighting some interesting battles. And when I came to the office, I told the leader, where are you? There's this happening. What are we going to do? He told me, you know what? Me, I'm not going to say anything, but I will not I will not let any business fall because of what they are planning against me. That level of commitment and level of loyalty is one that I found quite unmatched. Quite unmatched. Pongezi ndugu yangu. You know, it was tough. And the next person I told was the Honorable Mbarire that, you know, I'm trying to put up a case, and I'm told, but I've been dismissed, that I am, I'm looking back to the village. I say, but it's not the village. Duale is not from my village, so I'm not fighting. Why would you want to harass these people? And I said, Your Excellency, and it is important, now that I'm in the executive, Your Excellency, I think it is absurd that those of us in the executive can imagine that we can begin running the legislature where there is a speaker, there's leaders of majority and minority, the whips, without consulting them at all. That Your Excellency will come and start saying, this Osoro is doing nothing. And we start, machinations of kicking him out. Surely, Your Excellency, since we all belong, in the event that any of our members is not delivering, I think it's only fair, and I know you're also extremely consultative, it's only fair that we call them, we talk to them. What is the problem? How is it? Can we do it differently? Can we talk to the speaker? Because what I found was an extremely dishonest program. You know, Your Excellency, let me not go there, because I think it's on record. So I want to congratulate my brother and urge those of us, like Professor has not said anything about writing, but I know he has written a number of treatises. He's almost ready. Okay, he is my tenant, Your Excellency, in the village. So I'm happy that my tenant is also ready to call us here to witness the launch of his. Thank you very much, Honorable Duale. I really appreciate this, and I can assure you, hii nitasoma na siku kidogo sana, as I plan some few tricks, which I will not say here because I don't want to be given some extra work. Having said that, it is now my pleasure to invite my friend, I don't want to say anything beyond that, my successor, the Honorable Moses Masika Wetangula, a.k.a. Papa wa Roma, to come and make his remarks.
Thank you very much, Honorable Muturi. We fondly call each other Kijana. Your Excellency, our President, Your Excellency Deputy President, and all protocols as established, including my dear brother Aden Duale, our chief guest today. In 1989, I represented a man called Mohammed Shurie. He had been accused of murdering a conservationist called George Adamson. I was instructed by some member of parliament from Fafi called Ibrahim Salat. When I got him acquitted, a week later, while in my office, some tall, lean young man walked in to come and say thank you for representing my uncle. And that lean, tall young man was Aden Duale. And we knew each other from then. and became good friends. Yesterday, Aden Duale walked to my office with a copy of the book, signed it for me, left it with me, and in the evening I did a quick John F. Kennedy type of reading of the book. And I can stand here and tell you, Aden Duale, that you've told a good story. And Chinua Achebe said, don't wait for anybody to tell your story. You must tell your story. And everybody must tell your story. Reading this book, Aden Duale has just led Kenyans into the most poorly guarded secret of Kenya's politics. Backstabbing, betrayal, arrogance, greed, name it. It's all in this book. But what is important is that those of us who know Aden Duale, you know, one time when I was unceremoniously stripped of the position of leadership of the minority in the Senate, and I had spoken with mercurial English on the floor, Aden Duale called me. When I picked the phone, he laughed uncontrollably for 2 minutes. And I asked him, why are you laughing? He said, I knew it was coming. Because you're working with people whose political trademark and tool of trade is backstabbing and betrayal. So you've just joined the rank and file of those who have been betrayed. That is one of the chapters in my book that is forthcoming. Aden Duale is an embodiment of an honest man. Honest to a level where Malcolm X would have called him a house nigger. Because his level of loyalty to our current president is equitable to the house nigger who, when the boss is sick, says we are sick. That is Aden Duale for you. Because when he believed in a cause, he took it and ran with it. Your Excellency, perhaps you don't know, since we formed government, Aden Duale comes to my office once every week to sit and talk to me, and we compare notes, how things going. We must make this country move forward. Thank you, Aden Duale, for being there for many of us. And in writing your book and placing it before Kenyans, you've done a wonderful thing. After 3-4 years, write a second edition of your book, because there are some things that you'll remember you didn't give them enough detail, and so on and so forth. I don't want to say too many things, Your Excellency, but I want to say this, that Aden Duale, you've shown Kenyans that a good leader can step on the shoulders of others to rise, but must also be ready to have his shoulders stood on by others to rise. And you've demonstrated that very well in your conduct, in your speeches, in your everything. I shared the views of Murkomen and Kindiki that you are a constant obstruction to the growth of devolution in this country when you are the majority leader in the National Assembly. And I repeatedly told Kijana Muturi that why are you so close to this obstructive character? But it is good to believe and do what your heart tells you. And I suspect, even as you are a pious Muslim, you must have read a bit of the scriptures. Because in the Bible, a man called Judas Iscariot, after betraying Jesus, was so troubled by his conscience that he tried even to take back the money he had been bribed to betray Jesus. They refused to take back the money. He went and hanged himself. So you must have learned a lesson from there that when you betray people, you'll have such internal turmoil and a troubled conscience that whatever you do, wherever you go, you'll always be looking over your shoulder to see if there are some imaginary enemies following you. But I'm sure you sleep silently, quietly, without any such troubled conscience. Keep it up. Lastly, your uncle that I defended did not finish paying my fees. Now that you have tremendous income coming through the sale of your book, you may have to visit me for us to look at my file. Thank you very much. I'll now invite the Honorable Musalia Mudavadi, our Prime Cabinet Secretary. Hongera sana ndugu yangu Duale. Keep it up.
Huyu Papa wa Roma na lusungu yake. Your Excellency, the President, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, the man of the moment, the man of the hour, Sheikh Aden Duale. Very little Kiswahili has been spoken here, so I'll try and say something in Kiswahili. Pongezi Sheikh Aden Duale kwa kuweka rekodi ya ziara yako katika msitu wa siasa hadi wa leo. Katika huo msitu umeweka rekodi vile uliepa simba, ndovu, kifaru na kadhalika na fisi. Kwa hiyo tunasema pongezi kabisa kwa sababu umetupatia rekodi hiyo, na ni vizuri wenzetu pia watupatie rekodi yao tukienda mbele. But now let me just point out one or two things. I had a chance to also scan through the book, and there's a thread of courage. It takes a lot of courage to say the things you have said, but also to have gone through those things and you come out in one piece. You have been very frank. You have also shown that you have endured and you have the capacity to endure and to go through challenges without falling apart. I would just like to highlight that in the book you juxtapose political deceit and political forthrightness very vividly, where one can see the bad side of politics and even the good side of politics. Your Excellency, there is a book by Jeffrey Archer. They call it, I think it's Jeffrey Archer, Honor Amongst Thieves. Some of you have read it. what Duale has brought out here is that there can also be honor amongst politicians. Politics is not always dishonorable. It is really what we choose to make it. And this book brings out a very strong statement on that particular aspect. Finally, the Honorable Duale asked me to say something about Madimoni. For those who don't know, Madimoni simply means ghosts, evil spirits. I was taught in my culture from childhood that at night you do not talk about ghosts and you do not talk about evil spirits because you shall have bad dreams. Since it is dark, I will leave the story of Madimoni for another day. So let me now call the Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, to come and make his remarks and invite the President.
Kiongozi wetu, Your Excellency President William Ruto, the Prime Cabinet Secretary, the man of the moment, the Honorable Aden Duale, and all the good people gathered here this evening. Good evening. Your Excellency, today we have left it to Duale to be the truthful person. And we want to say that, Honorable Duale, you have done us proud, because putting to account for the record is good for this country. The people of this country for a long time have been very uncomfortable with the truth. Very uncomfortable. And this is a new beginning. Most of them have a few problems with us because of being truthful. As we have just spoken, we have put nothing on record. At least Honorable Duale has started putting it on record. It's the right thing to do. And Your Excellency, I will not be writing anything shortly because I don't think Kenya is ready yet for me to put on record what I need to do. I think let me allow Professor Kindiki, the Attorney General, Papa Aroma, a few people to get, it's a gradual thing, to get Kenyans to get used to the truth. In another 2, 3, 4 years, when I assess, Your Excellency, with your guidance, that these Kenyans need to hear the story on the difficult journey of the ascendancy of President William Ruto to the presidency and the futile attempts to stop him. We'll record that when the time comes. And it will be interesting. And Kenyans need to know the truth. Your Excellency, what the Honorable Duale has done is a very big step in our attempts to bring to an end the politics of deceit, conmanship, and betrayal. Because conmen and betrayers fear being called out. So I think it's a good practice we start calling them out and giving an account of the intrigues around power. Your Excellency, I must admit today, because I'm a truthful man, that when Honorable Duale was sacked, I celebrated. I may look a mischievous person for celebrating the sacking of Duale, but I had a good reason. Your Excellency, Honorable Duale was in our team, but he was not available because he was in Parliament. He was in the National Assembly pushing the agenda of Jubilee and President Uhuru Kenyatta. So when he was sacked, I was very happy because he was now available for us in matters strategy and in matters messaging. And we took advantage. You know, Kenyans hate betrayal. Kenyans hate people being treated unfairly. Kenyans knew the kind of work Aden Duale had done for the President, Kenyatta, and Jubilee, and were very unhappy the way he had been treated. So when we were going out with the President William Ruto, we would send vehicles to announce that in our entourage will be one Aden Duale. And Kenyans would turn up to listen to Aden Duale because they felt he had been treated unfairly. The same thing happened with Kithure Kindiki. When he was Deputy Speaker, he was not available to strategize for us. So when he was shown the door, the man was available 24/7. The same with Murkomen. So in a way, one of these days, when President Uhuru Kenyatta gets time and compassion to give me an audience, I'll thank him for chasing away these people. Because by doing so, he created a solid team that had a great resolve to succeed. Because the truth be said, if William Ruto had lost, it would have been very difficult for this team. If William Ruto had lost, in my scheme of things, and I know and I'm right, I will be serving the 5th month in committee now. All these people would not be here. So what happened because of the persecution? A very serious team evolved with a great resolve to succeed. And that is what contributed in a great way to propel President William Ruto to the presidency. Your Excellency, loyalty is what you have shown us. And what Professor Kindiki has said is true. Honorable Aden Duale and most of us have little regard for money. Money is just legal tender. When you don't have money, it's because somebody else has. It leaves your hands, it goes to somebody else. Your Excellency had this team that worked around you, gave in to monetary offers. These people would be billionaires. Money was offered left, right, and center for the betrayal of William Ruto. But men and women of substance, great men, said no, money is not everything. People must stand for something. And Your Excellency, we must also thank you because you have also been very loyal to your friends. And it's clear that a man who was persecuted because of standing with you today is the Minister for Defense in your government. A man whom I don't know whether he'll put in his book, who was almost assassinated on the 14th of August, Professor Kithure Kindiki, is today your Minister for Interior. Kipchumba Murkomen, who was thrown out of the Senate, is today your Minister for Transport and Roads. And you, as Trude, who was locked up every Friday, is your Deputy President. Your Excellency, it's about you. This loyalty is you. And I think it's a good thing for this country that people must know you must stand for something. And you must stand for what you believe in. Because it's important. So I want to say, Honorable Duale, thank you very much. I met Honorable Duale when we were in ODM. By the way, all of us were in ODM. President William Ruto was in ODM. Retired President Uhuru Kenyatta was in ODM. I was in ODM. Musalia was in ODM. So these young boys who came to ODM the other day, they should respect us as they are seniors in ODM. And we developed a good relationship with the Honorable Duale. Later on, we did one or two things in business. And he's also a man of honor. If you do a business together, he'll do what you have agreed. Unless he changes, I don't think he can change now. And later on, he came to Parliament. He was our leader and gave us very good leadership. And when he came to the presidential campaign, he gave it a lot of vigor. He gave it his all. Honorable Duale, we salute you. And what you have done is the right thing. And let everybody who has time put something down. With my exception, let me wait a little bit for Kenyans to get used to truth. Then at the right time, we shall do what we need to do. With those very remarks, I want to request you to be upstanding and help me to usher in the 5th President of the Republic of Kenya, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, G. Asante sana. Tafadhali, let us take our seats. Thank you very much. My friend Aden Bare Duale, distinguished leaders present here this evening, members of the diplomatic corps, Mama and family. I am very happy this evening. And I'm very happy this evening because you all agree that this evening Aden Duale is in his element. He is a happy man. Because my friend Aden Duale is happy, I am very happy. He has said many things. I just want to underscore that it is true I have been to Aden Duale's house countless times. And it is true what he said, that all the time, whenever we are in his place, we are served tea and food. He only did not say that it's normally not done by him. It is done by this great lady, gracious lady. Thank you very much, Mama, for standing by my friend Aden Duale. I know you have been a pillar. You've always been there for us during the highs and the lows. And I am very happy that today you're here again to celebrate this moment with my friend. I know a very strong case has been made for us to do what we should do. But listening to, reading the book by Duale, and I haven't quite gone into detail about that book, and what Kindiki is about to do, and what Papa Aroma is about to do, I do not know what will be left of me to write. Because these people have cannibalized what my story, and it's now being in bits and pieces. But I will assess what is left of my story at an opportune moment, and then I will write the balance. Maybe it will not be on the record. Maybe this time it will be off the record, or something. But let me say the following. Aden Duale is a solid, trusted, and dependable friend and Kenyan. I have walked and worked with him for 16 years. In that 16 years, we've gone through every kind of political experience and situation imaginable. In ODM, in UDM, in Jubilee. Together we founded a political home in URP, in UDA, and finally in Kenya Kwanza. Bare is a trusted and trustworthy person and has no time and place for political betrayal, backstabbing, and the use and dump philosophy perfected by many. I don't want to say who. When I found out Duale was writing a book, I was not surprised. In the years I have known Aden Duale, candor has been his most consistent quality. But candor is not enough if one does not have a story to tell and a message to deliver. The value of this book is that it tells a complete story. Often most people have a fashion of events and therefore fail to grasp the full import of certain actions and words, especially those of men and women in public life and political office. Honorable Duale has provided unprecedented access to 2 decades worth of political action, conversation, and events. From the 2005 referendum to the enactment of the 2010 Constitution, from the debacle that was the ICC cases to the 2013 elections, the creation and the rise of Jubilee, then the fall of and destruction of Jubilee, and the eventual victory of the Hassler Nation. This book tells the story of the biggest political events of Kenya's recent history in great detail, flavored with the unreserved frankness of Aden Duale. But this is not just a book about politics and politicians. It's the story of a man and his life in public service, a story that is forged in the heat of Garissa town and a deep lifelong faith in Kenya and Allah. It is a story that is made possible by hard work and the desire to make a difference for your people and also for your country. In one of the most profound chapters of the book, Honorable Duale discusses the intricate balance of playing a key role in the war on terror as a Muslim and the brave decisions he took to ensure that an entire religion did not pay the price for the actions of individuals. A stand that could have cost him everything, but he took it anyway. This book is a man bearing his soul out for all of us to read, so that we can understand how far he has journeyed in his experience of this country as a citizen and a public servant. It is a reflection on family, on faith, on leadership, and on the Republic of Kenya. One of the things I admire most about Honorable Aden Duale is his dedication to the people of Dujis and Garissa town, where he represented in Parliament and who he has advocated for in his entire time in government. In this book, his frustration at the lack of development in Kenya's north and his zeal and efforts to change the situation is clear for all of us to see. Perhaps because we are friends, perhaps because we are comrades. When I read this book, I get the sense that he has not written this book for entertainment. I get the sense that he is telling his story to enrich the history and record of those events. But more than that, I also see an argument, a stand for the kind of leadership Kenya needs and Kenya deserves. In this story, in this book, the events he has enumerated, the intrigues, the deceit, the betrayal, gives us a glimpse of a different side of politics. That politics doesn't always have to be deceitful. It doesn't always have to be about betrayal. It doesn't always have to be brutal. Politics can be what Aden Duale and myself are today. It can speak to friendship. It can speak to loyalty. It can speak to working together. And it can speak to protecting one another. I can say without a doubt that being friends with Aden Duale is not easy. He's a very difficult man. Because whatever he believes in, he believes in. And sometimes I ran into a lot of trouble with many of my friends because of Aden Duale. But when it mattered, when it counted, you could count on Aden Duale. Problems aside, challenges aside, but when it mattered, he was in the right place all the time. And that has also inspired me to be loyal to my friends. Because the people who stand with you when nobody wants to stand with you, you should stand with them when nobody wants to stand with them. I know many people in this journey told me, this Aden Duale is giving us problems. He has chased everybody, the people, I don't know what he has done, this. But when the chips were down, Aden Duale was there to be counted on. And that made the whole difference. I have quite a bit of a story to tell. When I read this book, I felt nostalgic that even though Aaron has thrown a few jabs on me with the veiled accusations of on many things, but that time will come, and we will put it down in paper. And I'm sure it will make some good reading. This book by Aden Duale is about partnership, and it also speaks about betrayal. It's a book about democracy. It's also a book about elections. But generally, it's a book about Kenya. And I recommend as many as can to read this book. There are lessons in this book. There are ideas also in this book. And there are clues in this book about where Kenya has been, where Kenya is, and where possibly Kenya could be. My younger mentee, Silvana Sosoro, you have some good chapters here to read for the work you do in Parliament, and many of your colleagues. As we all know, there is great power in telling our own stories. As Africans, we know that dignity can be lost in having others tell your story. And so I want to thank Honorable Duale for making the effort and the time to tell the story he has told, for this significant dose of truth. And I think we all needed this book at this point in time. I want to encourage my good brother, younger Professor Kithure Kindiki, to expedite his works. And the rest of us. I would really want to read a story, the book of Cecily Mbarire, a girl, and allow me to say that, a girl that I really admire because she's intelligent, measured, and makes the right decision. There is when I write my book, I'll write something about you. You know, there was a moment you really surprised all of us. We didn't expect you to make certain decisions, but we were amazed. And I know many of my friends know that. I am looking forward to the book of Papa Waroma. I know we will have a problem with the English, but we will try. We will try to read. I think we will need a dictionary to accompany, please. if you can, to interpret. And of course, all the rest of these good people here. I am truly happy this evening. In our midst, we have many friends, people we have journeyed together in this book and in many of the other books. We will read about all of us. In this book, we have the former presidents, we have President Uhuru Kenyatta in this book, we have Raila Odinga in this book, we have many of our other friends in different formations at different times, but it speaks to us as one people, the people of Kenya, irrespective of all the political permutations that keep evolving. Hopefully, with a dose of what Duale has said, we can make our politics much more subtle. We can eliminate deceit, betrayal, and conmanship from our politics and make our politics much more decent, much more people-centered, and we can build on solid political parties and political formations that are anchored around a philosophy about our country, about where we want to take our country. And we will keep, and I have told many of the younger politicians that we are available to mentor the younger politicians. It is the best thing we can do for our country. And we want the younger politicians to be better than us. We want them to be better than, so that they can do better than we have done for our country. We all want to retire into a country where we have better leaders with better ideas, with better plans than we could ever put together. That is our the heritage we can put in place, and part of it is what Duale has done, to write a book, so that apart from the mentorship we are giving these younger ones, they can also read, they can internalize, and they can learn, and we can have a better country. So again, I think it is a big challenge that Duale has placed on our doorsteps for us to also document what is good, what is not so good, our successes, our failures, our frustrations, our joys in a book, so that it can help others as they journey in our country, in leadership, and in every other sphere. So again, this evening, I am truly, truly proud. Congratulations, Aden, Bare, Duale, my friend. You have taught me loyalty. You have learned from me loyalty. And we've all grown together as friends. And hopefully we can, the younger politicians can learn from us that loyalty pays. It's paid for me. I'm sure it's paid. We all know it has paid for Duale. It's good to be genuine about friendships. It's good to be loyal to friendship. And it's also good also to speak your mind when times calls for speaking your mind. And I don't want to say many things because I have good material for my book. Yeah, on many of these people sitting here and all the things that we've come through. And you agree with me that I have a very difficult team. Just imagine Isaac Ruto on one corner, very difficult person, very problematic. Aden Duale on another, very problematic. And somehow you have to figure out how all these people must be part of a team. It is quite something. But by the grace of God, we have always built a team. And of course, we are waiting for Rigiji to write the book about the truth. I think yours, we call it the truth. me the whole truth or something. Oh, my. So again, congratulations, Duale, congratulations, Mama and the family, and to all the future writers who are here and those who are not here. Asanteni sana. I don't know whether I said everything I wanted to say. I think I'm also a bit excited. I think I've said everything I wanted to say. So